Thank you, Judith. Thank you, Madam Toastmaster. This is my favorite part of the Toastmasters meeting, and it's especially my favorite part when I'm on this side of the table, fixing on the other side. I get more value on the other side, but this is my favorite side. If anyone would like not to be called on for a topic, especially our guests, please send me a message in the chat so I know not to call upon you. Otherwise, I'll take everyone here as fair game. We're going to have a little bit of fun. There's some deep topics and some very light, fun ones. So let's just enjoy it. The first topic. Speak about one book you remember from school. And I'm going to ask Mary. I hope that's Mary Pryor on Mary's phone. Hopefully you can hear me, Mary.
Yes.
One book you remember from school.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters. One book I remember reading, not in school actually, but many years ago, is a book, and I don't remember the author, 5 Smooth Stones. This was a very interesting book that was written, I think, back in the 90s regarding the racial situation in the South. It went through the history of some of the things that at that time was really prevalent and really not, should we say, fair to the people of color. And this was told by a social activist who went through various parts of the South and relaying his experiences, his family, his entire being of an activist during that time in history. It was very interesting, very informative, and also parts related, unfortunately, were very, very difficult to digest. But it was interesting reading, and I certainly enjoyed reading the book. Again, that is 5 Smooth Stones, and unfortunately, I'm blanking on the author. Back to you, Mr. Table Topic Master.
Thank you, Mary, for that. And I'll definitely be looking up 5 Smooth Stones after this and adding it to my wish list on Amazon. Next topic. When you are content to be yourself and don't compare or compete, everyone will respect you. Harold G.
Thank you, Mr. Table Topics Master. Fellow Toastmasters, the question was, do I want to be myself and people will respect me? Goodness, I think sometimes if I was true to that, I think I need a therapist. No, I have grown to respect myself over a period of time. Yes, you have to be at ease with yourself. You have to accept yourself. You have to find calm somewhere in your personality to have clear goals to go after. There are a number of ways you can do this. And as you suggested, reading is quite effective and very helpful in trying to reach out. I happen to be, and I'm not the only one, I'm an only child. Now, my cousin is an only child on my father's side, On my mother's side, there's a bunch of them. But for some reason, because I'm an only child and I didn't have to share, I always had a sense of maybe I was a little emperor. That's right. I was special until other people pointed out, you're not special. You're no big deal. At any rate, life has many interesting paths. So, yes, but I always contend you have to find some area of peace within yourself to achieve. Have some clear goals. And I've been reading a book recently called The 2% Method. Use the 2% method. This only improves only 2% of the time, and you'll move ahead like a snail. Mr. Table Topics Master.
Thank you, Harold. Words of wisdom, to be sure. And Emperor Harold G, I think that would be an interesting world to be living in. Next up. Who am I going to pick on? What would your 80-year-old self advise your present day self? We often get asked, what would you advise your 20-year-old self? What would your 80-year-old self advise yourself today? Aprille soon.
What a fantastic question. Thank you, David. Fellow Toastmasters, what would my 80-year-old self tell my 64-year-old self? How many of you are retired right now? Put your hands up. Okay, there's a few of you. Do you have more time now than you did when you were working? No. I think what I'm finding now, since I retired about 5 years ago, is that I don't have time. And I think what my 80-year-old self would say to me is find time for prioritized activities. And I'm actually taking part in a 45-week educational study about dementia. And your risk for dementia is lowered the more you are socially active. Socially active with a diverse range of people, like in this group, young, old, different ethnicities, different paths through life, different journeys. So the advice I think my 80-year-old self would tell my 64-year-old self is continue doing Toastmasters. Intergenerational connection. Learning how to connect and meet people around the world, give feedback to people like Kate was talking about, and that we're going to be hearing from our excellent evaluators later today. Meeting people like Victoria and Aprille and Beverly in Pittsburgh, Vincent in Malaga. Join Toastmasters.
Thank you, Aprille. It's always great advice, isn't it? Join Toastmasters. Next one, I'm going to change it up a little bit. How do you feel about clowns? Paul Greenway.
Rather opposite, Dave. How do I feel about clowns? I have zero tolerance for clowns. And I don't mean those people you get in the circus. Here in Ireland, we call a clown what you might call an idiot. And I have absolutely no tolerance for people who don't have the little grey matter. Between the two ears, there's a brain. And if it's not used, they're a clown. No tolerance. Absolutely none. Even can apply to children. And that's not fair. But I'm not particularly fair. Does that make me a clown? Maybe. I can do it to them and then have to pull myself back. To work colleagues, oh, I have to bite my tongue. Use the word a clown, maybe. No, I stop myself. Definitely. But again, to your question, my opinion of clowns, no tolerance. Absolutely none. I wish they didn't exist. Wish everybody was like me. Perfect. Nah, that wouldn't be nice either. Imagine everybody perfect. So clowns, I'm struggling with. Always have done. I don't find the circus ones funny. Maybe that's part of why I'm so biased towards clowns. It's just never been amusing. So whether it's slapstick humor, no, can't take it. If it's lack of focus, no, can't take it. I think I've got a sense of humor. Hope it means I do, but I'm now starting to question that maybe that's a problem. Mr. Ryan, back to you. Thank you for an interesting question.
Thank you, Paul. I'm sure you find no clowns, at least of the first sort that you mentioned in this group. At least I hope not. Maybe some of the slapstick humor, though. If you were a DCP point, which would you be? Education, membership, training, or administration? John White.
Thank you for that question. Not really. I am going to do the opposite of Aprille. You will not want to join Toastmaster once I'm done. Education, membership, administration. Let me start from administration. I love Toastmasters clubs and meetings. Am I the only one that thinks as an organization it is subpar? Has anyone had a positive experience on a Toastmaster website? I just, the technology is never working. It's always, when you get a soul, it's perfect. It's there, but technology-wise, and then pathways, it's doing everything to undermine the great progress and tradition. Oh, I can tell I'm upsetting people. Well, I would be a member, obviously, because I'm joined 4 clubs. I love one club and I'm starting to love others, but I've always been a monogamous man, one club kind of man. And here I am, I've got 3 side clubs and it's taking too much time. I really haven't, I have enjoyed it, but it comes at a cost. Membership. I would be a membership on a serious note, Aprille. I'm looking at you. I believe in Toastmasters. I believe it's most powerful at the club level. And I believe in these recent times, membership is down. That's why a lot of people are members of 6 to 18 clubs just to keep it going. They can't say no to these lovely people. So I would do something to infuse the membership drive to get more people here, because I do believe it, notwithstanding administration. But I'm a clown. I don't like administration. I don't like the federal government administration. I certainly don't like Vincent's proposal of he was going to take over the United States. I was prepared to send Trump your way after I heard that inflammatory speech. But back to Toastmasters, more members, because I believe in you. But every now and then I'm going to call you out. Thank you for that question. Back to you, Mr. Table Topic Master.
Thanks, John, for that whirlwind tour of the different types of DCP points. I'm looking about to see who I haven't asked yet.
Maybe one more, Dave.
So last topic. Which 1, 2, or possibly 3 animals best epitomize your character? And I'm going to ask Beverly.
Thank you for that question, Mr. Table Topics Master. I must say, I have given a great deal of thought to 3 animals. And that's because I'm not sure I really, really believe it, but I think I do believe in reincarnation. I believe in my last life, I was a spotted eagle ray, because the first time I saw one flying through the water, I realized, oh, that makes sense of all those dreams I have about being a total water rat, but also flying. And given that, I have to start worrying about what comes next. And given what an outright bitch I can be, I am afraid that in my next life, I'm going to be a tomato worm. If you've ever run into one of those things, those green squishy things on a tomato, and if you aren't careful and you pick the tomato and put it in your mouth, wow, it's a really bad experience, but it wasn't a great experience for the tomato worm either. And then I think they have wasps that sting them and plant their eggs and stuff. Anyway, my life right now is about trying not to be a tomato worm in my next life. I am hoping to become a loon. Not loony. Those of you, Vince, Aprille, you know me, you would think, oh, loon is, she's already one. No, I'm hoping to be one of those gorgeous, beautiful birds with the beautiful voice that can fly and swim. This is my best shot. So I'm trying to be really nice. How am I doing, Mr. Table Topics Master?
Thank you so much, Beverly. Unbelievably specific 3 animals. I was anticipating like a cat and a dog, but a spotted eagle ray, a tomato worm, and a loon. Nice. With that, I'm going to hand back to our Toastmaster of the day. Back to you, Judith.
Thank you. Table Topics Evaluator, Aprille. Let's hear from you.
Madam General Evaluator. This has been quite the morning, from the speeches and Judith saying, okay, how are we making a difference in our world? And then we got to the table topics, and David's opportunities to express ideas were quite fluid and I would say hit many areas of our life. In a theme, we were all working on being wise. Some were working on being wise guys. Mary Pryor, a shout out to you. You are exemplary in your diction. I was so very impressed once I started hearing the end sounds of words from you. We all can grow and become wiser in our continuing as you do. Great trait to tip us to model for us. Thank you. So we had Harold G. talking about peace within oneself. Ooh, but then Paul, and those clowns, they are adverse. So Harold and Paul, I want the two of you to come together over a beer or whatever it is that Vincent is drinking. You two need to join in. In addition to that, I'm going to call on John White, as well as the gentleman I've just mentioned. Don't think you're exempt, David and or Scott. You all need to get with Vincent and his cronies. Now, I'm with Sharon, who said, where is our call to action here with all of this, Vincent? And Vincent, I challenge you with this. You need to call an event where all of us come together. Maybe not at 9 o'clock on a Friday morning, Vincent, but you can work it out so that we all come together and have a few and see where that gets us. That is your challenge, and I give you until the end of the year to come up with a plan. We are going to be with you. We'll bring our ABCs. We'll bring our favorite books. We'll bring our quotes, and we'll quote ourselves. Because what we're doing here together is collaborating and learning together to make a difference in our worlds and the world. Thank you very much.